Hi, everybody. It's Heather Younger, author of The Art of Carrying Leadership, a recent book that came out in April of this year and was picked up by Barrett Kohler. This is Showing More Heart at Work. It's usually the title of my keynote I give on this, How to Attract and Retain Top Talent by Putting Our People First. And that's because the book itself is the foundation of all of this. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to tell you about a little about me, why this book, why now, who is it for, go over the framework for the book, and then give you a little bit more of a cool surprise at the end of the book, and then give you a way to contact me. Sorry I can't be with you. I know that they've already introduced me, but I'm glad that we're here now. So why me? Why am I the one to write this book called The Art of Carrying Leadership right now? Let me give you a little background. When I was a child, I was born to a white Jewish mother and a Black Christian father, and my mom's parents weren't at all happy about that union. And when I was born, I was a reminder of them, what they saw was a mistake. So I was literally the black sheep of the family, never allowed to go to weddings, bar mitzvahs, any large family events for me being seen in public. This obviously hurt and created this sense of not being worthy, not being heard, not feeling like I'm included, not feeling like I'm welcome. I had this one aunt, though, my mom's baby sister, who was so amazing. She was always so sweet to me and had this way of always making me feel like I was included and did special things for me. When I was 9, my parents moved from Ohio to Las Vegas, where my dad was going to be a stagehand in a large hotel. And after I got there, this particular aunt continued to send big old boxes of 8 individually wrapped gifts for every day of Hanukkah. And that was her way of still making me feel connected to that other side of my family. Why she didn't realize at a time, she was the first real caring leader in my life, outside of my parents, of course. And it meant so much to me that she would always go out of her way to make me feel like I was a part of the family. And again, it was her actions. And there are very few people I can count on one hand, the leaders who made me feel cared for in my life. And so I wrote this because I had had a journey of having that as part of my history, and then deciding and choosing to be that kind of leader to people who I managed over 20 years of leading people. And then I reached this impetus where I was in the middle of a merger of 5 companies, and the culture began to come downhill. Mistrust set in, anxiety set in. Nobody was listening to the people driving the business forward. So I took it upon myself to go to the head of HR and ask and tell them, listen, we got to do something about this mistrust about our culture. It's really bad. And I could feel myself being dragged down at the same time. So I went to her and she said, you know what, you're right. You should go do something about that. And at first I was like, wait a second, I'm not even leading HR, but it made sense because I already chose to be that culture ambassador, looking out for people, uplifting people, whether they were on my team or not. So what happened is this merger didn't go so well and they were laying people off. And I was one of like 200 people that were laid off. And it was an ouch. But during that time, I realized that my whole mission was to do exactly what this book allows me to do, which is help organizations and leaders understand the power they hold to show care, to exhibit caring leadership each and every day. And now I've expanded this. The book really does expand some of this view about who is, in fact, or can be a caring leader. So why is this book so important right now? This book right now. You know why it's me, but why right now? When we think about it right now, we're still in the pandemic. We're knee deep in it. We still have unknown. One thing that we know for sure is that we've all gotten very crystal clear about what it is we want out of our workplaces, what we want out of home and out of our lives, right? Our vision for ourselves has changed. But one thing that hasn't changed is our desire to be cared for and for others to be cared for in our presence, right? And this is the importance of this right now. There's so many people struggling with mental health issues, so many people that are really kind of lost and alone. And all of us, despite our titles, have the ability to show up with more care. And that is why it's this book right now. And I think a lot of your patrons are going to want to be looking at this as well. Who is the book for? Well, I kind of alluded to that. I originally thought about it as for those who lead one person and those who lead 5,000 person organizations or more. But as I started to write it and I finished it, and over time now, since it's been some months afterward, I realized that it's much more expansive than those who supervise people. It also includes those in the community, anyone who others look to for guidance, despite a title, somebody at home, mom and dad, big brother, right? Those at work. This applies across the board. If you want to show more concern and kindness towards those who look to you for guidance, those who look to you for leadership, you will come to this book to find out how. And that is because care is normally a nebulous concept, but this gives you real parameters with 9 clear behaviors, multiple sub behaviors, lots of stories that are real life, and it's founded in research. So let me tell you a little bit about the research. I interviewed 180 leaders so far on my podcast. 100 of them were interviewed for writing for this book. So this is the foundation of the book, is the interviews I have with leaders from all different walks, different industries, different levels in their businesses. And I also have been privy to reading 25,000 employee survey comments and DEI survey comments, and sitting in 150 focus groups with the team members across the world. So I have this ability to reconcile both what employees want and need and what they say their leaders aren't doing with leaders who are doing it or maybe have not done so well, and then being able to encapsulate what those 9 behaviors are that create more care. And so that's what the foundation of this book is. And like I said, I think it's for you and you and you and me as well. So here's the framework for the book. There are 9 behaviors in it. And it starts out on this left side with cultivating self-leadership. And that is because we cannot give what we do not have. We cannot show care towards others if we do not show care for ourselves. And what I've done is I've broken it down based upon all the interviews, 9 sub-behaviors inside of the self-leadership category. Some of them being making sure that we're authentically us, being congruent, making sure that we exercise self-care, which is a thing I want to dot the I on right here, is that all of us, we care for others so much, we do have to care for ourselves, whatever that means for each of us individually. Making them feel important is really this idea of recognizing our people, connecting with our people, making sure they know they're not just a number, but that they have significance in and of themselves. Looking for the greatness in those we lead really means we have to identify the strengths for our people and what our people's strengths are, and then put them in a position to shine and use those strengths. Involving them means that it's not just us as leaders that we have to put like the back cape on and we got to make sure we have this hard outer core, that we involve the people around us so that we get more done. They feel like they've contributed. They feel like the work they do is more meaningful. Providing them safe spaces is something that really opened up in universities many, many years ago, but has gotten very big in the corporate vernacular. Safe space creation really just means that you have a place where you can go where you're not going to be ridiculed or no retribution for speaking your truth of the matter. And we understand that there's a reconciliation that has to go here, as everybody wants a certain safe space, and it doesn't mean the same for other people. So it's figuring out what that is for the people that look to you for guidance. Creating a listening culture is critical. It really is the foundation for all the other behaviors. And that means how well are we listening to those who are in our presence, and how well are we actually taking what we hear to implement some kind of change, and how much are we circling back around with them to let them know that their voices are powerful, that they had an impact on us, and that we did change things because of their voices. Leading the whole person. We hear about this when we think about intersectionality, anything related to identities in the workplace or identities in the universe, right, in the world. We all show up as ourselves, not always whole, but underneath us, we're always whole people, right? So we need to be taken in consideration as our whole people, as all of the intersections that relates to who we are. For example, I'm a woman, I'm a biracial woman, I'm a lawyer, I'm an only child. My mom is Jewish. My dad is Christian. Like there's all kinds of things that are there. I mean, I could just continue to do that. I have 4 children. Everybody has so many things that we need to go deep on. And so we need to be considering this idea of leading the whole person if we want to be successful, particularly going forward in this world. Empowering people to make decisions is a big one, because we know how it feels to be led by a micromanager. If I could just see you right now, I'm sure you're all thinking, yeah, not a fun experience. So empowering them to make their own decisions is critical. And the chapter, of course, walks through how we do that, but risk taking is a big part of that, and making sure that we're allowing risks to take place so that people can learn and grow from them. And then that final chapter, before we talk about the ROI of caring leadership, is building their resilience. And if you think about it right now, there's no better time than right now to be more resilient, right? Thinking about the pandemic and all the adversity that we're choosing. Thing to remember about resilience is that it's this idea of having mental toughness in the face of some kind of challenge or adversity. And we need that, but we need to grow ourselves first before we can give it to others. It's like that idea of the mask on in the airplane, right? You put it on them, then you put it on the other people. We have to build resilience in us. Then I give you strategies on how you can build resilience in others. And there are some very critical ones inside this chapter that help with that. So this is a really good framework for you to use just for yourself, inside your own workplace, inside your own home, in your own communities. But I think it's one that if you get someone coming to you looking for books on servant leadership, on books that help them be more emotionally intelligent, if it's a parent who says, I want to learn how to be a better parent, this applies to everyone. It's not just workplace. Caring leadership is a global concept. I want people to know that it's not hard to do, but it's necessary to do. And I'm hoping that you will read it, take it to heart, and maybe share it with your library patrons as well. Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing I want to say about the book, though, which I think is super exciting, is that it's not just a book, it's an entire caring leadership ecosystem. We created this ecosystem, so it starts with the book, but in the back of the book, there's a caring leadership self-assessment link. It takes them to a self-assessment. They can create a do that, a self-assessment, and then they will get a report printed out for them where they'll get to see some tips and tricks on how they can get better at being a caring leader, depending on where their shortcomings might be and then where their strengths are. The other thing that we provided and created was a Caring Leadership Academy. And what we've done is we've broken down the academy into the 9 behaviors. So there's 9 separate courses based upon the 9 behaviors in the book, so that depending on where you are in your self-assessment, you can go take the course to help fill the gap a little bit as well. And then we created this community, a free community with some community calls. And that means people who want to come in there and talk about all these different issues that are facing them at work around the 9 behaviors can kind of come there, work together, overcome a lot of these things that are happening sometimes in their mind, helping them get better behaviors so they can all learn and grow together. So super exciting. We have an entire caring leadership journey and ecosystem of care that we've created for them. And that should make you really excited to know as a librarian, you're giving away a lot of transformation when you just let them check out the book. So hopefully that excites you like it does me. It was part of my vision because I didn't want it to just stop at the book. I wanted to really transform lives. I wanted to really change how leaders act, how they think, and how they treat their people. And then in that end, how those people feel about themselves. So here's how you can contact me, Heather at caringleadership.co, Heather at caringleadership.co. And if you go to caringleadership.co, you can also just join the community. There's a community there you can join for free. You can take the self-assessment if you haven't even read the book yet, but you know that you have a place to go, a place where you're not going to be judged. There's a safe space where I created that for everyone to come and not to be, having any ridicule, but to come and ask honest, open questions and to give honest, open feedback. So we welcome you there. Thank you for listening again. Sorry I couldn't be with you, but I'm glad we've had this time together. Be well.